In today's easy art tutorial to relax, I'll be sharing doodle art and line drawing for beginners. This may be especially interesting for you if you find yourself in the middle of the day stressed out with not a lot of time to focus on your relaxation. I'll be sharing a handful of different line drawings and doodle art tips here that you can do with just one piece of paper, just one pen, and a couple of minutes to help you to relax throughout the day. These practices, these mindful art activities are things that I've been sharing a lot over the last year with my students, especially as we all sort out how to deal with stress during COVID. So I'm going to walk us through some different tips and techniques. In this first drawing that I'm showing you, I traced 3 circles. So I used a coaster. You can use a bowl or a cup or a plate. If you have a protractor or a compass, you can use that. It's one of those. And what I'm doing is at the points where the 2 circles intersect, I'm starting at that point mark. And then I'm expanding outward. If you think of like a flower moving outwards, and I'm doing that for a few reasons. 1, it gives a really nice pattern. 2, it's a really simple doodle mark that anybody can make. And then 3, I like to sync this up with my breath. So if you've seen my drawing the breath meditation video, you know that as we move on the upward stroke, we inhale, and as we move on the downward stroke, we exhale. And it's just a way to help us be more mindful and synced up with our breath as we're making really simple, intuitive marks as a way for us to de-stress. So that is totally optional. If you've never tried it, I definitely recommend it. You might be surprised how simple it is. If this is your first time here, or if you're liking these videos, please like and subscribe so you can see more of our mindful art activities for relaxation and other tips and tricks to help you transform your art journal at home. And so what I'm doing now in this center point is, because there's not a hard edge with this main shape, I chose to make the center of it an edge. So I put a dot in the center just so I had a tracking point, and then I'm just lining up the lines that you see there, and it gives an interesting visual effect. So part of what we're exploring in today's mindful art activity and practice is really exploring a combination of mandala art and zentangles. And mandala in Sanskrit just means circle. It has other historical meaning, but for our purposes today, I like to just use it as a container, as a starting point to hold the marks that I'm making. It also gives some really interesting edges around the sides that can be really fun to play with as far as making different patterns and shapes. And then with zentangles, that's really just a process of making patterns. You can do anything. I have a whole Pinterest board if you're curious about other ways you can make interesting line art. You can check that out in the description box below. I also have an entire playlist I will link up here for you around line art and others as well around mandalas and other mark making. If you've been watching me on this channel for a while, you know most of my marks tend to be really organic and fluid. I usually work with a lot of paints and allow the paint to inform the shape, and then I go in and draw. So today is a little bit different in that most of the line work is pretty straightforward and literally straight. And I have read years ago when I was doing my undergrad degree in psychology, one of my research projects was around doodle art and the different types of doodle marks that we make and how that has an impact on our brain and our mood. So just super fascinating. But for some reason today, I was feeling really drawn to these more straight lines. So any of the things that I offer as invitations today, you can always modify it, make it your own in your journal practice. And watching this channel, you might already have a really dedicated art journaling practice. You may be brand new to art making. Whatever works for you, I hope that you find different tips and techniques here that you can always try and play with. And even if you're not making marks yourself, just by watching some of these videos, I hope that it brings you a bit of space and peace and relaxation into your life, and hopefully some inspiration as well. So what I'm doing here now with some of these edges is, so we started with making our marks from the pointed edge, and now I'm going back into those pointed edges and I'm connecting them. So this is really really derived and rooted in what's called neurographic art. You can always Google that. I have one other video that is about neurographic art, but it's really about, there's lots of things it's about, but what I'm pulling from in my own practice today is this smoothing out of the edges and connecting so there aren't those hard lines. And then for contrast, I'm going in and adding that to the center. So I want to just say too, with mindful art activities or mindful drawing, or in this case, our line art drawing as well, there can be this slowing down that starts to happen. And it's just a way that we can be more present. And so that's why I really like to sync up the breath as well. I'll be moving on to the second drawing with more tips and techniques. And if you're just now seeing this part of the video, if you are enjoying this, please like. That does help so other people can find this video and benefit hopefully from the inspiration and the relaxation as well. In this second doodle art and line drawing, I have 3 different creative limitations in place that you might want to try. So one, I'm choosing with each stroke to make a line in a different direction. I'm choosing to keep my pen on the page, and I'm also choosing to sync my breath up with each stroke. So inhaling on one stroke or the movement and exhaling on the other. And you can do this with different shaped lines. I'm choosing to have it be a straight line just to keep things really simple. But this exercise does a handful of different things, and I want to talk about a really interesting and fun visual effect that starts to happen as you do it and how we can bring that into a mindfulness practice to relax even more. So I'll share that here in a little bit. What I love about this is that it's really simple. You can do this on any type of material at any time. If you don't have something to trace a circle, you can just make a box really quick and then do the same process. This is also really nice because you can hear the sound of the pen moving on the page. So you can hear that movement across the page, and that can also be really soothing for us to just pay attention with each mark, the effect of the sound on the paper, the feeling of the sensation of the paper under our hand, the feeling of the pen in our hand as well. And what can often happen with this exercise is 2 things. One, because it's so simple, you'll notice your inner critic come in. You might have judgmental thoughts. You'll have judgmental thoughts about the shapes you're making, the lines, the point of the exercise, that you have a million other things to do right now on your list. And all we have to do is simply notice all of those thoughts. That's what our mind does. So it is working well, but it's not maybe serving us right now. And so just acknowledging those thoughts, noticing each one pass similar to how a line passes on the page, and then just returning back to the sounds, to the texture of the paper under your hand, and to just focusing on this one moment, this one line, this one breath. And the other thing that can happen is you can start to see different shapes that are made. You might start to notice triangles or squares. And again, using that as just a reference point, noticing that shape, letting it go, and then returning back to the marks that you're making. So this one is very simple. You can easily share this with young kiddos or children or friends in your life. And the slower you move with the pen on the page, the slower you sync up your breath, you may start to notice more of that relaxation and stress relief. And you can really choose how fast or slow you want the marks, what direction, so you have that engagement each time to be sure that you're moving the pen in a different direction each time. It's a great way and great exercise as meditative art, mandala art, doodle art. It's all the things. It's a really simple line drawing that you can also change into line paintings and drawings later. So I may share that in a different video later. For right now, I hope that you enjoyed this easy art tutorial to relax. I hope you found this interesting and inspiring. For more videos like this, subscribe, and I will see you in another video.